You know, some officers come through that gate already knows everything. They know the policy, they know the lingo, and they know how to talk tough through a locked door. But there's a big difference between talking behind a steel door and standing face to face with a 300-pound inmate when that door is open. That's where reality starts. And today we need to talk about the danger of becoming what I call a door warrior. What's going on, everybody? I'm Kerry Randall, Beyond the Badge, Inside the Bars. Today's video is not picking on young officers. It's not about saying that every new officer is bad, lazy, or dangerous. Because that's not true. We need these new officers. We need fresh staff. We need young officers who are motivated, sharp, and willing to learn the procedures properly. But what we don't need is arrogance. What we don't need is a brand new officer who's only worked behind secured doors acting like they already mastered corrections. Because in this profession, confidence can help you. But we learn fast that fake confidence can get somebody hurt. Talking through the door is not the same as controlling the unit. There are officers who will talk loud through these doors that are closed and locked. They'll argue with the inmates through the flap. They'll challenge the inmates behind the glass. They'll run their mouth from a safe distance. They'll say things like, he ain't going to do nothing. But here's the truth. Anybody can sound brave when that door's locked between them and the problem. The real test comes when that door opens. When the inmate steps out, when the cuffs comes off, when you're escorting him, when you're doing a search, when he refuses an order in the open, when there's no steel barrier separating attitude from action, that's when you find out who is trained, who's prepared, and who's been performing. Correction is not about acting hard. Correction is about controlling awareness, communication, discipline, and knowing when to call for help before pride turns to an incident. The oversized inmate changes the whole situation. Let's be real. Not every inmate is the same size. Not every inmate presents the same risk. You may deal with an inmate who's 6'4", 300 pounds. He's strong, aggressive, unpredictable, and a history of staff assault. Now let's imagine a young officer who has been talking reckless to this inmate all week long through a locked cell door. Talking down to him, mocking him, challenging him, trying to prove a point. Then one day that door opens. Now what? Now that same officer has to deal with the inmate in the open. That's where the unsafe habits catches up with him. That's where the mouths create problems that the body may not be ready to handle. That's where other officers get pulled into a situation that never needed to happen. And that's one of the biggest problems with door warriors. They don't just put themselves at risk. They put the whole unit at risk. The whole team is at risk. It creates unsafe units. A young officer acting like they know everything can become dangerous fast. Not because they're young, but because they stop listening. They don't take advice from the senior officers. They ignore warning signs. They think everything or every inmate is just testing them. The mistake, disrespect for command presence. They think being loud means being in control, but in corrections, loud doesn't mean being safe. Sometimes the safest officers in the building is the quiet ones. Who's watching everything? The officer who knows when the mood changes. The officer who notices the inmates tying their shoes tighter. The officer who notices who stopped talking. The officer who sees the hands, the posture, the eyes, the crowd movement. That comes from experience, guys. And experience is not something you get just because you put on that uniform. You earn it shift by shift. Respect does not make you weak. Some officers think if they show respect, inmates will see them as weak. That's wrong. Being respectful does not mean you're being soft. You can be respectful and still be firm. You can be professional and still hold the line. You can give clear orders without disrespecting someone. The goal is not to win a shouting match. The goal is to run a safe unit and to go home at the end of the shift. A door warrior wants to win the moment. A professional officer wants to control the environment. There's a difference, and the difference matters. Senior officers need to correct this early. Now, for the senior officers, supervisors, and training staff watching this, we have a responsibility too. When we see a new officer acting reckless, we can't just laugh it off. We can't say they'll learn one day, because someday, one day is that day that someday that someone gets hurt. We need to pull them aside early, not to embarrass them, but to confront them. Let's train them, not tear them down in front of the squad, but correct them professionally. Tell them straight, listen, you don't have to prove yourself by running your mouth. You don't know this inmate like you think you do. You're creating a problem the rest of us may have to fix. Slow down, watch, listen, and learn. That kind of corrections can save a career. It may even save somebody from getting assaulted. New officers need to learn before they lead with ego. To the new officers watching this, hear me clearly. Nobody expects you to know everything on day one. Nobody expects you to be perfect. But we do expect you to listen. We expect you to be respect to the dangers of the job. We expect you to understand that inmates are watching you from the far. Every moment you walk in, they're watching you, how you talk, your move, react under pressure, treat other officers, how fast you get emotional, how easy it is to bait you. And if they figure it out, that your pride controls your decisions, they will use that manipulation. That's set up behavior. And that's how small situations become a major incident. Your job is not to prove you're tough. Your job is to be professional, alert, consistent, strong, reality check. Here's the reality. The inmate behind that door may be quiet today, but tomorrow he may be out of his cell. But he may be in the shower area, rec yard, escort, medical, day room. And what happens? All the respect or disrespect you threw through that door may come back face to face. That's what you don't create unnecessary enemies in corrections. You enforce rules, maintain order, you hold inmates accountable, but you don't let ego write checks your team has to cash. So the message today is simple. Don't be a door warrior. Don't confuse a locked door with a real control. Don't mistake arrogance as command presence. And don't think that because you survived a few shifts, you mastered this profession. Correction will humble you real fast. The smart officers learns early. The arrogant officers learns the hard way. And sometimes the hard way comes with injuries, paperwork, investigation, and regret. To the young officers, learn from the veteran officers who are still standing behind those walls working every day. Stay alert, stay professional, and remember, safety is not about being tough. It's about going home. If you work in corrections, drop a comment below. If you've seen a door warrior before, drop a line. Have you seen a new officer talk too much behind the door and then freezes when the door opens? Let's talk about it, because this is the kind of stuff that can keep other officers safe. Like, subscribe, and share this channel. New officers who needs to hear this. Once again, I'm Terry Runner here, Beyond the Badge, inside the bar. Stay safe, stay sharp, and don't let pride get you.